PlayStation 5 VR 2, Horizon. The Call of the Mountain, which is the launch title, of course, takes place in the somewhat as bigger representatives of the Sony series, but virtual reality makes a huge difference. Not only to big machines looking even bigger when we stand right to them, but we have to fight them manually, aiming with a bow or a snipe shot at selected parts of armor. And it works absolutely phenomenally. We can play the role of the soldier named Riot, who is member of the Karya show, a faction of the Karya tribe. The hero is captured by an enemy clan, but his captors offer him freedom if it helps them deal with the suspicious machine attacks of their settlement. Which little choice we agree to the. Well, actually, the world is not open. We are dealing with the serious levels of our larger corridors, although they are slightly larger boards, on which you have to run a bit, but there are also branches and hidden corridors where you can find the valuable items, armor upgrades, something they are really well hidden. Suffice it say that I didn't collect them all, although I had the impression that I was looking around very carefully. Let's be honest, Call of the Mountain is certainly not just a PS VR 2 tech demo, but it's a flat game realized with its typical Sony momentum, in which you can even die during the combats if you are careless. The plot may not offer such spectacular discoveries and twists as Aloy adventures, but it's an interesting story set in the world people on machines. You also need to know that the campaign lasts about 8 hours, which may seem like a short time, but for VR game it's satisfactory result. Before I go into the details of the gameplay, I will talk about the controls and accessibility settings because it may be interesting for those who didn't try the VR so far. So how does it when we walk and go? It turns sideways. We can use the control analog to walk, just like in traditional games, but we also have the ability to move using hand gestures. We look around with the moments, but it's not enough because from such increased turnover we will rob ourselves in PSVR 2 cable. So move camera with the right stick, but we set to move on smooth or jumpy. The combination of analog walking and a smooth rotation is theory intended for the people a bit more experienced in VR, which is why there are also softer solutions. Accessibility settings in general are very extensive and have a lot of functions for people who may feel dizzy with the Google on their hands. An example is previously mentioned upward rotations or big net that narrows to the field of view. Call of the Mountain can be played both standing and sitting, but it's much better than more naturally to play standing, and I have the impression that the game was designed with this in mind. It's worth mentioning the game also supports eye movement tracking, and thanks to this function we can indicate menu options with our eyes, not with the movement of our heads. It works really well, and in most cases there were no problems, although sometimes the cursor jump between two adjacent options. The fun pattern in Horizon VR look like this. Lots of climbing and style combat, and in between a lot of walking factors, location and interacting with various type of objects. There are also a lot of spectacular script movements with machines in the lead role. Climbing, however, is the middle name of the game, and I'm honestly surprised that developers managed to create something so satisfying from that theoretically boring topic. I felt like a master climber as I choose the cornices, handles and edges. The movement is incredibly smooth, realistic, and you have to work really hard with your hands. From the ladder we go the metal burps, the rope on the walk of the wall, and this must be done by turning in the right way with the controller stick. The transition from walking from ground to climbing and vice versa is natural here, is where we are in the real world. Excuse me. Rise is also equipped with a number of climbing gadgets, which often require, for example, holding onto the edge on the one hand, to throw a hook with a rope over the head with the other, or hooking the grapple to the hub hanging above us to swing to the other side of the abyss like a Tarzan. Best of all, we create such climbing tools ourselves at a special table connecting small parts according to the instructions and then wrapping them with a rope so they don't fall apart, and by hand of course. The flight is quite unusual
because we almost always fight in the round areas, moving only along in the edges in the ring of motion. Of course, the opponents do not stand still and attack not only from the distance but also from close jumping up to the hero. Each skirmish resembles a boss fight, even if they are only small machines called watchers. However, they, given limited mobility, fighting against strong enemies often boil down to rushing around, using the dodges to avoid the bait by audacious attacks. When it comes to the weapons, we have a bow and a crossbow, and our disposal with the different types of arrows and bolts respectively, and I have to say the shooting here is phenomenal. We draw the bow from one shoulder, then from another grab an arrow, then draw bow stick and let it go. Words can describe what a fantastic job the developers have done. You have to experience it for yourself, although I hope the video about conveys you at least some of the excitement and incredible fun experience. Again, the variable resistance of the triggers is at work because we feel the string snapping from our fingers. The system of tiering of the mechanical elements of opponents and thus depriving them of raised up functionality was transferred directly from the big horizons. If you remember how to fight certain opponents, you can easily use the tactics cautiously elementary containers to explode or exposing Thunderjaw's heart to deliver a devastating blow. So, yeah, I wouldn't call the Horizon Call Mountain PSVR 2 system seller, but it's certainly a game that makes perfect use of Sony new Googles and should be in the library for anyone who owns this hardware. The title offers literally a new look at the well-known Horizon brand, which I will not forget for a long time. I didn't expect the climbing and fighting to be successful here. I won't be surprised if you all fall in love with virtual reality. This is your first VR game.